Good morning, sports fans. Today is Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026. You're watching RateGame Live, although I think I might rebrand this show if we're going to do this in the morning, because I think a more appropriate title, which is something that I've often used to start pieces of content, whether that was in the past when I was doing like Sports in 60, which was a 60-second little content bin for TikTok. I would always start the TikToks. I would always start the segment with like "Good morning, sports fans," because I would film it in the morning. And I know that the NFL Network, or I guess I should say ESPN, has a show called Good Morning Football, or they had one. I'm not sure if they actually made it through the merger with ESPN, but I know that Peter Schrager and Kyle Brandt hosted a show. Maybe they still do, called Good Morning Football. So maybe Good Morning Sports Fans would be an appropriate title for the show if it so happens that this show stays on the 7 a.m. hour. I'm not sure. We'll see. But I kind of like it. I like being first to talk about sports. 7 a.m. is pretty early. You could go earlier. You could always go earlier, but I feel like anything before 7 is kind of pushing it. So stay tuned for the naming convention. We'll stick with RateGame Live for now, but just know that we could be renaming the show to Good Morning Sports Fans. Having said that, this really is the same show as it's always been. 104 episodes in now. Basically, it's a sports show, obviously, but what is unique about it and different is that up there in the top left, RateGame, is an app that's got my name on it. It's free. You can get it in 168 countries, I think it is. That Apple and Google, like out of the gate, are just like free. It's like 5 countries that you can't get it in. One of them is Iran. One of them is North Korea. One of them is Russia. And I'm missing the other 2. But basically, anywhere that you have internet connection, you can access RateGame. RateGame has a website. It has an iOS application. It has an Android application. They're all free. Go on there. You make an account. You rate sports games you love. Using those ratings is how the show starts every morning. Asking and answering a simple, single question is what we do. Usually this is a question that pertains to more than one, and it's were the sports good. But today, folks, this morning, it is singular in nature. Was the sport good? Was the sport singular? You can see in the banner down there, we are smack dab in the middle of the dog days of summer. We came out of the World Cup, global sporting event, the most viewed, sporting event in human history. Every time it comes around, like breaks its own record. Billions of people watching this thing. We come out of that into 13 games of baseball. It's like the most rude awakening of all time. There's people who are saying like, oh man, I wish I would give anything to watch Algeria versus, I think it was like Austria at 11 o'clock on like a Tuesday. Right about now is when you hearken back, you remember the World Cup games you didn't watch, because we are in the thick of things. It is officially the dog days of summer. So, was the sport good? Was the 13 MLB games that were played yesterday good? Were they worthy of our time? Well, unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that not really. Nothing crazy happened last night in sports. Some highlights that we'll certainly take a look at, but overall, it's 13 games. There was a couple of rainouts, actually. Actually, I think just one. I know the Red Sox were going for their 15th in a row against the Orioles, but that was postponed for rain, I believe. So we'll get that today. Get a little doubleheader action so they could go for their 15th and 16th today. 15th, I think, would be a franchise record. Would maybe tie it or maybe break it. And then 16 would either be brand new territory and or breaking the record. So hopefully that kicks off today, but we had 13 games in total. A single league, 67 ratings on those games. Have not seen double-digit ratings on a window in quite some time. My gosh, might be the first time ever, but healthy sign over here. 517 ratings overall on the platform. That means that people are using this downtime, so to speak, to go back and rate games of yesteryear, last week, the week before, what have you. So 13 games played, 67 ratings, 517 on the platform. That's a mixed bag, 577 overall. That is your answer to the question, was the sport good? I don't know how many more times we're going to be able to say that this summer. My guess is maybe a couple. Just because, between now and then when the English Premier League starts, I think it's like 6 weeks. Maybe less, actually, because we have Bundesliga, we have La Liga, we have League One, we have Serie A, Champions League. Champions League is much later in September, and then obviously English Premier League. So I feel like there'll be a couple days and nights where no MLS, no WNBA, and so therein lies Major League Baseball. So, all right, good to know. Next up, we have the MLB highlights. So, going around the horn yesterday, actually this morning, waking up and doing my diligence here, doing some research, and put together some highlights for us to check out. We had a lot of teams in action, pretty much everybody except for the Red Sox and the Orioles. We had this poor fella who seems like is getting a lot of accolades, I guess, for his first 16 games in Major League Baseball. This guy, Joshua Kuroda-Grauer, this young man on the Athletics who is making a splash here, came up yesterday. Well, no, he's been up, but yesterday hit his first home run ever.
It hits Adele in the age.
Probably see that first. So this is his first home run ever after basically coming into the league and just like being absolutely red hot. Finally gets his first homer in the show. Leads off. It's top of the second anyway. So we'll take a look at this.
With the Kuroda-Grauer unleashes to left center, way back. There's his first. On the first pitch of the second inning, Joshua Kuroda-Grauer has his first career big league home run.
All right, so great start to his night, you would think.
There's one.
You would think.
That's a great job of staying on a breaking ball.
Kuroda-Grauer swings on the first pitch and fouls it off of himself. He's still down. That might have caught him on the inner leg. maybe even higher. What do you see here, Dallas? Oh.
Well, yeah, that'll hurt.
He's still down.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know that that's much an ice pack can take care of.
Don't really know what the protocol for this would be.
I mean,
Catch your breath. I mean, obviously in a lot of pain.
oh my God, bro. So, first at bat home run, second at bat. This ends up being a ruptured testicle. My man ruptured the jewels here on this foul ball. So obviously that's like serious stuff that requires immediate, at least if it were me, emergency medical attention, but not for Joshua Kuroda-Grauer, man. This guy stayed in the game somehow. Suffered a ruptured testicle from a foul ball, singled for his 25th hit, and he did that in order. So he hit his first home run, needed surgery after the game, by the way, for this injury. Stayed in and then hit a single. This guy, this is legend. This is absolute legend. I cannot believe that's an insane level of pain tolerance. I have a high level of pain tolerance. I'd like to think I would be so out of this game. I'd be like, nah, man. Help me, please. I need help immediately. Please, somebody take me to the hospital right now. I'm not staying in the game, man. How do you stay in the game after that? How do you stay in the game after that? How do you not check to see what's going on?
It's a rarity you see.
Oh my God, he's splayed out.
A foul ball hit off of that place without a bounce off the ground.
Right now.
Bro, this man is dying. Get this man to the hospital. Why didn't nobody counsel him?
Yeah, I think KG just trying to
This dude's going through. This is the worst feeling on earth. Guys know how it is like. It's like you got hit with the worst stomach virus of all time. It's like you got hit with like some sort of like foreign adversary inside your stomach. And you get like nauseous, you get sweaty, you like get faint.
breath. Just walk.
Oh my God. This is like all the stages of it right here.
There's just not much that can be done here.
He's going to put the helmet on, grab the baseball bat, maybe a few dry swings. And it looks like he will come up with no balls and
Come on, man. You don't have to say that. That's crazy. Why did he do him like that? That's not right. Oh dear. I hope he's your player of the game. He better be your player of the game. I really hope he's your player of the game. Now I gotta see. Max Kepler? Come on now. I just have to. I have to write about this. Emergency surgery for his ruptured testicle after he stayed in the game. Hit a single. Wow. That's like one of the craziest. There he is. There's my guy. That's one of the craziest things you'll ever see on a baseball field, at least after the fact, knowing what actually went down there. My goodness. All right, back to some other light.
3.
The Angels and the
That's a great
Cards.
job of
Oh, we
staying
had
on
a
it.
triple play last night. This was great. Marlins turned a old school classic triple play the hard way. Check this out.
Ground ball to third. Oh, baby. There's one. There's two. There's three. A triple play. Wow. Perfectly done.
Leo Jimenez starts a triple play for the Marlins to retire this side here in the bottom of the 8th.
So that voice sounded super familiar to me. It's funny. I actually have a highlight
Pitch for the Pennsylvania
from the Hornets announcer, Eric Collins, who, look, it's the dog days of summer. Like, everybody has, I would say, like, off seasons. Doesn't matter if you're a color commentator or an athlete. So what you do in the off season, I guess, is entirely up to you. Eric Collins, who is the play-by-play announcer for the Charlotte Hornets, very recognizable voice. I imagine that he will get a lot more opportunities to call games going forward just because of how much enthusiasm and energy he has. I think sometimes he overdoes it. But I heard this and I was like, oh my God, I miss him. I miss this guy. That's how you know it's the dog days of summer. I miss the play-by-play announcer for the Charlotte Hornets. I'm a Knicks fan, so I don't hear this guy often. But listen to this call for this crazy catch from a softball game. College softball. I'm sorry. AUSL. AUSL. Is that Australia? No. Utah and Portland. What does the AUSL stand for?
The pivot ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate what happened to me, some would think, but I'm good. 4th and 1 ain't going nowhere. Funky Friday ain't going.
What was that? Oh, that was Cam.
She pitched for the.
Let's see what the AUSL stands for. Athletes Unlimited Softball League, professional softball. Oh, this is the league that Chert always talks about. All right, so here we go. Eric Collins.
She pitched for the Pennsylvania Rebellion, located in Washington, Pennsylvania. Oh my goodness! What a play by Jada Coleman! You will not find a better grab anywhere.
Classic. Miss that guy. He always loses his mind. Oh, this was dope. Watch this bounce pass. A little bounce pass for the out because of the sun, it seems. Watch this little skipper here. Boom. Double play. It's awesome. All right. So last night we had
3-0.
a walk-off hit by pitch on a 3-0 count in the Angels and Cards game. Watch this. First ever in the history of Major League Baseball.
3-0. It hits Adele, and the Angels walk it off in the bottom of the 9th. Wow.
Oh man, talk about disappointment for the Cardinals and elation for the Angels, all wrapped up in one here.
Whoa.
3-0.
Oh
it
my.
hits Adele, and the Angels.
You ever seen somebody so happy to take a freaking shot to the shoulder as Joe Adele right there? He just glances one. That was a heater, too.
3-0. It hits Adele, and the Angels walk it off in the bottom of the 9th.
Jesus.
Wow.
Baseball players are tough, man. If anybody ever tells you that baseball players are not tough, show them this episode of RateGame Live. You have a guy losing the family jewel, emergency surgery, and then another guy winning a game and excited about it, taking a heater off the shimmy.
With the
Kuroda-Grauer.
All right, and that was, and then we have the asinine base running by the Philadelphia Phillies last night ended up losing themselves the ball game after Maximo Muncy did his damage. You had JT Real Muto with this, should have been a single out. Shoot the plays to first, but not so fast.
Sawed off to third, and it got him hung up. Crawford's hung up. Crawford is out. Wait a second. That is the game. That is
what
the
are you
ball game.
doing, JT?
What a way to finish it. Chaos on the bases, and a 2-1 Dodger win.
Just
Phillies are going on contact.
just so weird. What was JT doing? What are you doing right there, bro?
Out. Throw to second. That is the game. That is the ball game. What a way to finish it. Chaos on the bases, and a 2-1 Dodger win. Phillies are going on contact, but
are you feeling?
So that
look
is
at AJ
your
Brown, which is this number one wide receiver.
MLB little highlight package for you. Next topic of conversation here is ESPN layoffs. So yesterday, around like lunchtime, probably a little bit before, maybe a little bit after, a lot of sources were coming out with it. And then it was kind of the talk of the town as we got into the evening hour of, the sports like news wire, was the personalities or prominent figures of ESPN that were part of this round of layoffs, a round of layoffs that they kind of framed as the natural progression of their acquisition of NFL Network. So obviously with ESPN having a roster of media personalities and then the NFL Network having their own, there's going to be some duplicative roles. Totally makes sense. I think you kind of scratch your head at the Karl Ravech move. I don't understand why. Is his salary too much? The guy's been with ESPN since 1993, I think I read. He is was, I should say, a champion of the Little League World Series, which I think starts like in a couple weeks. He's not going to be able to do that. Called the game on Monday night. Called the Dodgers-Phillies game on Monday night and was let go Tuesday morning. So yesterday, this is like hot off the press, right? So we're one day into this cycle. And he has nothing to do with the NFL. He has nothing to do with the NFL. So where this came from, I'm not sure. In the past, these layoffs has always kind of rolled up into the top of the pyramid, right? And like the biggest bag holders at this company, Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee, just commanding an insane amount of influence and money. So I guess Karl Ravech just doesn't fit into that equation. I can't imagine that the guy is carrying a massive bag, though. Karl Ravech, like, okay, sure, he has tenure, but he's like off covering baseball for you. Used to be like Baseball Tonight guy. And then he's doing things like the Little League World Series. I can't imagine that he's like pounding the desk saying, I got to be paid like McAfee or Stephen A. Like, you're telling me that Disney couldn't afford his payroll? So that's one thing that's just like sad. Somebody who grew up with him, watching him anyway. And then I heard that you hear that he finds out in the same way that we do on social media. So the story breaks, the news leaks. He finds out that he's not calling the next Dodger-Philly game. And he's not going to be able to call, he's not going to be able to do his programming with the Little League World Series. And then the other one, which I think is very interesting, and I think we can also point back to a couple instances in flare-ups, but this one I remember so specifically with Ryan Clark. So Ryan Clark was I would say, the other huge name that is part of this round of layoffs. And I never liked Ryan Clark. He was always, to me, somebody who ran his mouth, inserted his, and had to remind us at all times that the guy used to play. It was like almost his shtick. It was like, I'm a player. I was in the NFL. Therefore, my takes carry more weight than your takes, non-player. Which is just like such a weak, tired stance to take on anything. And I think this was like the prime example of that approach coming to a head. And I was led to believe that this incident, in combination with a couple others very similar to it, on air and off air, was the primary reason for his being included in this round of layoffs. This is last NFL season, after week 1, between he and Peter Schrager, who had just come over before ESPN bought NFL Network. So remember, Peter Schrager was NFL Network before ESPN bought NFL Network. He came on his own accord.
You're feeling, okay, you look at A.J. Brown, which is this #1 wide receiver who got 1 target all night, and then you got CeeDee Lamb. But that's the,
When was the one target?
That's the target,
But
though.
I'm saying,
When was the one target?
I'm saying you could
1
have it
minute
both
and
ways.
54 seconds left in the game on 2nd and 11. It was the 1 target. He runs the out route.
You wake up this
the
morning
corners
saying
got
A.J.
outside
Brown
leverage.
had a better day than CeeDee Lamb?
But
No,
you know what you wake up saying, though? A.J. Brown's team is 1-0.
Of course.
Right, like,
I mean,
like that's what
I get it.
But the thing is this, though, and we shouldn't do this on TV. And so I apologize if people think this is rude. That's the non-player.
Oh,
view.
Stop. That's no, that CeeDee Lamb is
And let me tell you why. I'm not saying
I'm not looking at fantasy football, Ryan. I'm not. Don't belittle me like that. I could come in and say, as 3 ex-players are saying one thing, and give an alternative perspective that maybe CeeDee Lamb did play well. And
Peter, what I need for you to do is not get mad and let me finish for one.
Okay, go on.
It wasn't about you. It was going to be about me. Okay.
Put that on the tombstone. Put that on Ryan Clark's outro. It was never about you. It was always about me. I mean, there it is. Case in point. It's the most self-centered, like, I'm a player. I'm the player. This was never about you, man. This is about me, the player, the former player. I can get on my soapbox. It's not about you, man. I put the pads on. The whole point of like having this mixed bag of, the Greenbergs and then the Orlovsky, Clark, I guess Greenberg and Schrager are the only guys that didn't play. So 2 out of the 3 are non-players, but Greenberg's like your host. That's the whole point. Like, America knows that Peter Schrager never played football, man. Like, you don't need to, it's just like it very much saturates and kind of tones down the entire discussion. It kind of takes away from it. And I think, Ryan Clark has always had this kind of like better than thou air about him. He kind of brings that energy. And remember, ESPN has the Super Bowl this year. ESPN is going to be the broadcaster, or I guess the exclusive rights holder of this year's Super Bowl. So go figure. Ryan Clark is not going to be part of that picture, not going to be a part of that program. I think he's the, or at least he was their halftime guy on Monday Night Football. So I imagine they're having discussions around, well, what does our halftime programming look like? Obviously, you have the show itself, the halftime show, the musical act. Not that great, by the way, right? They didn't announce it yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. I was thinking whatever happened last year with the competing halftime shows. That was so funny. What did they call that? With like the freaking ragtag like weirdos over on it was like Truth Social or something. They like threw a competing halftime show because it was Bad Bunny. Anyway, I'm getting on a tangent, but so Ryan Clark would have been in that picture. ESPN's hosting their first Super Bowl. And so I imagine they're probably looking at the field and they're being like, do we want Ryan Clark as like the figurehead of our first ever Super Bowl halftime programming? No. No mas, Ryan Clark. And so you have that, you have Karl Ravech, you have Ryan Clark. And then on the other side, you have Cam Newton. Now, Cam Newton, we haven't heard from Ryan Clark as far as I know. I don't think he's released a statement. But Cam Newton was
the pivoting
immediately going on his own platform, kind of talking about how it affected him and what his perception of ESPN is. This is a 10-minute clip. I'm not going to play a lot of it, but he has some really salient points here. I really, really, really appreciate Cam Newton and how he is able to articulate the value that he got from being on ESPN, being almost like a student of these giants in Stephen A, in all the other guys and gals that he got to learn from, which is like I think a very different attitude and perspective than you had from Ryan Clark.
Unfortunate what happened to me, some would think, but I'm good. 4th and 1 ain't going nowhere. Funky Friday ain't going nowhere.
Not at all.
When you think about what happened to Emmanuel Acho, Joy Taylor, different circumstances, different networks, different situations, but this is what you have to understand. When you look at the speakeasy, all right, and when you look at other sports personalities having and taking control of their own narrative, it's imperative that walking into this industry, you would be a fool, asinine behavior if you don't take that opportunity to say, number one, I need to learn as much as I possibly can because I do not know when that time is going to call when I get tapped on my shoulder. Number two, also take this as a way to bring more attention, more eyeballs, and to also magnify your personal IP. And I knew that that's what my intentions were.
Yeah.
They knew that that was what my intentions were. I was counseled to say, Cam, there's not another platform on linear television in your field like ESPN. And that was truer words that could not be spoken any clearer. You can't make me hate ESPN.
Yeah.
What I've learned, it was an internship almost. The production value, they're the leading sports source for a reason. They have the leading talent, not only in front of the camera, but behind the scenes. That makes sure whether it's a live show or whether it's in studio, that they are always on the cutting edge of topics and information, and also how it's rolled out.
Yeah.
So when the news came about, yes, I felt like anybody else would.
Because I was going to say, did you see it coming?
I didn't, but that's not the topic that I want to kind of belabor on.
Yeah.
Only thing I can look at now, I will not be going back to First Take.
Yeah.
So, no more Cam at First Take. This is alongside Stephen A. Which will he be missed? I don't know. I think you heard it from the man himself, right? He's very much in control of his own destiny. He's got the 4th and 1. He's got his own little media empire over there. And he's absolutely right. You need your own platform in this day and age. People are now, more than ever, getting their news from places other than news. What do I mean by that? In the last 10 years, the subscriber base from ESPN has peaked at 100 million households. Say that number one more time. 100 million people watched ESPN on or after 2010. We'll call it 2011. And it's down to 61 million today. So they've lost 40%, about 39% of their subscribers. Where have they gone? For the first time ever in history, people are getting their news from YouTube, social media, Facebook, X as the primary source. Secondary to that is TV. So therein lies like exactly what Cam is saying. You need your own platform. You need to control the narrative, especially as an athlete, a former athlete. And so I really appreciate his take on the whole thing. He learned a lot. He learned from the best. You establish the relationships when you're at the mothership. You get the emails, you collect the phone numbers, and you study. And then you take that back with you, which is exactly what he's done or will do, it seems. You know, fresh off of it, but good for him. Good for Cam Newton. And we'll see what happens to Ryan Clark. And sad to see Karl Ravech go. End of an era. Absolutely. All right, final thing I want to touch on before we close the show is just the fact that the SEC might be SEC-ede. What do I mean by that? Well,
with the
advent of this new NIL era, that the Big Ten and the SEC are almost forming like a super conference of sorts. I'll show you this clip from the
All right, Heather, what are you hearing about
the complicated
Rich Eisen show, where Pete Thamel kind of speaks on the fact that between the SEC and the Big Ten, it's almost like these two conferences and then everybody else. And so they are vehemently opposed to this new law that's making its way through Congress that would essentially prohibit and prevent a lot of the vehicles for money that favor the SEC and the Big Ten to pay for players.
You see that future?
Of the Leave the Union path, you know, we could do like a 5-part miniseries on. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I am just saying, boy, there's a lot of it. So I do think that in this moment, as the Big Ten and the SEC are essentially negotiating with Congress to try to get this bill to be less prohibitive to them and less headwinds to them, I do think reminding people of that, what the SEC can do and the power of the SEC isn't like an unwise thing for Greg Sankey to do. So while that road could be, you know, tilled someday, I don't think that is an imminent option, like the take our ball and go home option. Although I will say this, Kirby Smart just sat in our room and talked about, like, you know, his frustrations being in the SEC, being a coach, and not like simple things like rule changes, right? Like everything is complicated with the NCAA. And I do credit Charlie Baker for making things less complicated. The age-based eligibility that's commonly known as 5 and 5, that just passed, like that's a significant accomplishment for Charlie Baker. Charlie Baker has noticed the fat in the NCAA and the rules making process, decision making process, and tried to streamline that, and has done a good job of streamlining that, but it still needs a lot more streamlining. So, all of these things, Rich, from the macro are starting to look less like each other. The Big Ten and the SEC, they look a lot like each other, right? And everything else is starting to look a lot less like them. And that is only going to be amplified as the years go on here. And those are the fundamental tensions that are driving some sort of next iteration. But what that next iteration is just really unclear at this point. So speculating that SEC could go do that on their own, that's fine. But would it be of national interest if the SEC didn't play anyone else and only played each other?
No. No. Absolutely not. And I'm an SEC guy. I love the SEC. I love Georgia. I love Kirby Smart. The SEC only playing the SEC is not like tentpole television. That is not something that you're going to want. I mean, sure, is it different? Is like the competition better? Is the talent pool deeper? Yeah, absolutely. The SEC and the Big Ten are like the two conferences that feed into the NFL pretty much exclusively. Occasionally you have somebody from the ACC. Never somebody from like A10. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's like as closest thing we'll have to NFL Junior are those two conferences. And the Big Ten has won the last 3 championships. So, do I want to see just like Georgia and Alabama play twice or 3 times a year? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't think that's appointment television just for the SEC to play the SEC. I do not think the SEC should SEC-ede. I think they should stay put. I do think that they should absolutely try and get some aspects of this bill tweaked and changed to kind of make sure that it's a little bit more fair. I do think these NIL conglomerates, whatever you want to call them, these collectives that just have like oodles of money to throw at these kids to ensure that they only play for the SEC, it's not fair. It's not fair. Like you will, and you do have the super conferences. There's a reason why all the best players go to these respective conferences. You just follow the money, folks. It's like tale as old as time. You go where the money goes. There's nothing crazy happening here. It's just a ton of money in the SEC and the Big Ten, and therefore the best players. So I think this bill could help with that to try and reintroduce some parity here. And I also think it could put a kibosh on the ridiculous transfer portal that we have. That's just like impossible to keep up with, especially if you're a head coach trying to recruit. You guys have like, 2, 3, 4 transfers in them. That's ridiculous. So I think that this bill could help with that. But should the SEC only play the SEC? No, absolutely not. That's crazy. And that's going to diminish the product immediately. No one is going to be excited about that if the SEC only plays the SEC or the Big Ten only plays the Big Ten. They got to figure this out. It's called the Protect College Sports Act. So they should protect college. They should protect college sports. They should make sure that everybody stays in the same sandbox. The SEC should not break away. I know that's like a thing that they love to talk about in Texas too. Texas is like, they want to seed from the United States. Like, every odd year, it seems like that picks up momentum. So it seems like a trend, you know. Texas gets to the SEC, but they've been there 2 years, 3 years, and all of a sudden the SEC wants to completely break away from the NCAA. It's just ridiculous. I feel like that is such an empty threat, but maybe not, as you just heard. Maybe not. So we'll see how it plays out. I feel like this is going to reach a conclusion before the start of the season because I think the bill is like on the House or the Senate floor. So if it passes, it could be very interesting here in the next couple weeks. So we'll keep an eye on it. That is the show for today. Thank y'all for watching. Today is Wednesday. It is a great day to rate some games. Just a reminder, RateGame is free. It's fun. It's for fans of all ages. You gotta smash the sub button, folks. You have to like and subscribe. Smash the sub. We're trying to grow this channel. It's my personal channel. Was operating RateGame Sports that continues to stay alive. This is my personal channel, so I'm going to be going live here going forward. We're trying to grow this from the ground up. I think there's like 23 subscribers on the channel. So the next goal would be 30, then 40, and go up from there. So if you're watching, if you got value out of this, give RateGame a try. RateGame is free. My name is Nick Mark George. It's a great day to rate some games. Have a great Wednesday, and I'll see you Friday.